Good afternoon, world. It's moments past noon in Waxahachie, Texas, deep in the heart of the Lone Star State. We're broadcasting live from our palatial second story studio in downtown Waxahachie, Texas, in the shadows of the historic Ellis County Courthouse. Today is the first day of October, and it's the fifth episode of Grit and Good News. And I'm your co host, Jeff Lynch. And it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce your host, my friend, Scott Brooks.
Hey, brother. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone, on Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram and YouTube. So
all at once?
Thank you all at once. So
Wow.
Thank you all for being here. It is a bright, beautiful Tuesday in the best city in America, Waxahachie, Texas. We're glad to be here. Hello, Hussar, Czar Hussar. So here we are, and we got a lot to share with you today. First, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell everybody two words: roll tide.
Oh my! Are you? Is that
whooping?
in reference
That was
to our weather situations?
No. That is in reference to Saturday night's first half butt whooping. Then the second half heart attack. Second half where I almost didn't make it. And I know you were at some symphony thing texting me. It's a wonder you didn't shout, "Yay, roll tide!" right in the middle of it, like you see on those commercials. But anyway, we're big Alabama fans on this side of the set, and very happy Bama's now number one. So roll tide. But
I'm supportive of your
well,
needs.
thank you very much. We do this show every Tuesday and Thursday from noon to 1 o'clock, live, as we've told you. And we're excited about it. This is what number? Show
Number five,
And
a fistful.
Today is Tuesday, October 1st. Believe it or not, Jeff's got on his orange, looking good,
Thank you.
If you could see his shoes, you'd really be impressed. But we are announcing the show to the public tomorrow on the front page in lead story
Front page
of the
news.
Sun. So
above or below the fold?
Above the fold lead
Thank you.
story. So
Lead
you'll
story.
see it. You'll see the logo, which we now have on the back of our screens here. So here we are, Grit and Good News. So we're going to start today with phone number. Yeah, I'm supposed to tell you about the phone number. So just above that beautiful beast of an animal, wait a minute, there's our phone number. It's a call-in show, so feel free to call anytime you want to.
Some of you are listening only and not watching. Sorry to interrupt you, but it is
says roll tide.
972-268-9441.
Say that again.
972-268-9441.
And before we get going, Mr. Hussar says row tide. He's taking a shot at
Row tide.
That's how the people in Alabama with no teeth say it.
No, I thought that was the Auburn spelling.
Oh yeah, no, Auburn. They don't know words that big. Bo Jackson was a star for Auburn, one of the greatest athletes of our Bo. Couldn't spell Bob. Anyway,
it is somewhat of a nickname for Robert. I had a college roommate, Robert G. Reddig, and we called him Bo.
Oh, did you? Well, anyway, Bo. I wouldn't say that to Bo Jackson's face, but anyway. Hey, Sharon, thank you for being here. Send out the message. Let everybody know we're live again tomorrow. We're gonna have a lead story about this, so the word's gonna get out, and we hope to have a lot of people here. We suspect our numbers will grow, and we're excited about that. Before we get into our details today, Mr. Lynch has something I think you guys will find interesting that he wants. Oh, we're going to do that in a few minutes, not now. So let us jump into our detail, and then we're going to have something from Mr. Lynch. So one of the big issues going on in Waxahachie right now, it's been going on for about, I'd say a year, maybe a little longer, are homes that are referred to as short-term rentals in our market. They exist really in every market. Airbnb, Verbo, you know more by that acronym or those acronyms than you do short-term rentals. But short-term rentals are homes that are bought by someone for the sole purpose of renting them out, much like they would if like a hotel does.
I would take issue with that. I think a lot of people might have had a home for some time and decided to leave using it. I mean, I don't think they're just bought for that purpose.
Well, not solely for that purpose, but I do know, having sat on our HOA board for a couple, 2 or 3 years, that more and more corporations, by example, are buying homes
Granted,
for the
yeah.
sole purpose of renting them out, either to employees that move to the community or just as a way, investors are doing it as well.
Just the
So
same way people have bought rental property over the years.
true.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But the difference is obviously short-term rentals are just what the name says, and that is these rentals that are really rented. I don't have the numbers on what days of the week, but largely for the weekend, as you can imagine. And it came to be an issue in Waxahachie because some knucklehead in Florida was managing a home at the lake, $1 million home at the lake, that was being rented out on a short-term basis, and it was becoming a party animal house essentially, and all kinds of stuff. 100 guests, at a time, and cars everywhere. There were shootings out there, so it came to the forefront. That then led to the city discovering that it's more of an issue than originally thought. So we're going to talk just a little bit about short-term rentals, and if you have any feel, let us know because it impacts most everybody. You may not even know it, but there may be a house on your street that's a short-term rental uh, that has a different guest essentially every weekend. So it is an important issue important enough that HOAs are basically saying, as we did in ours, that no home can be rented for less than 90 straight days, thereby eliminating the possibility of a short-term rental. And again, it's to prevent homes in neighborhoods where you invested in a very nice home in a very nice area. We tried to do the same, and we did it on the pretense that this is a great neighborhood.
Right.
Not that the house. If I were to have known, should it be that my next door neighbor was actually not my neighbor, but a house that was being rented out like a hotel room, I would have had second thoughts.
Sure.
So, what do you think about short-term rentals from your perspective?
Well, I think the big issue is what amount of control there should be and at what level it should be controlled. But here's a kind of a change in feeling that I've had. I've never had an interest in doing this, and I went up on a trip this summer, and I was going to be with 6 adults and 1 baby, and 4 of the adults. I get my Gen X, Gen Z,
Yeah, they're
and
all
millennial all mixed up. But
Yeah.
I would say those 3 groups have a common thing. They like them.
Yeah.
They like them a lot. And I kind of got outvoted on the deal. And so I went down that path. And um I think the idea of banning them doesn't make sense from an economic standpoint for any geographic area because I mean these kids, they were all about, I call them kids, they're adults, um, about searching and finding what they wanted, and I think you cut off a whole group of people completely if you say we're not going to allow it at all. And in a town like Waxahachie, I'm not critical of our hotels. I've never stayed in them, but we've got your basic medium price, good enough chain hotels.
Yeah, we've
I
got
don't think we've got any place that's a
yeah,
destination
the
hotel.
Hamptons, Comfort Inn or Comfort Suites, whatever. Yeah, they're basically I mean, La Quinta, we have the typical chain hotels that are recent. Have you already done it? You already
Yeah,
stayed at
yeah,
them?
we did. And
Yeah.
the other thing that you'll find about them is if you're looking for the low cost alternative, you're not going to get it because you know our 6 adults with the configurations of what we had would have basically come down to 3 hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And I had good places that I've stayed at in the past, had them in mind, told them that I think this is what we ought to do, and again, uh, got outvoted. But it was great in terms of the fact that 2 nights we did have 17 people there and 19 people there, which was over their limits, but we were thoughtful
Yeah.
adults.
You want to have
And
thrown a party.
yeah, and so the backyard had a covered patio area and it could handle about 10. And so we'd have combination in and out. But and the other thing I was getting to is cost wise, not only is the rate high, then they've got this one fee. They've got a cleaning fee that's high,
right.
and then they've got another fee. I don't know what it's called. You add those all together, and you're always $300-400 a night,
Yeah.
and boy, it gets up there fast, even if you got 6 people.
Well, would you do it again?
Well, if I was with those same six, I'd probably be forced to.
But if you weren't, would you just stick with a hotel, or would you do a short-term rental?
I think I like hotels.
Yeah. Let's see. Doug here says, I think they are like any neighbors. If you have rude, loud neighbors, whether short-term or long-term, I'm complaining. I'm letting people know my heart and asking to find a solution together very quickly. A short-term owner can put rules in place to keep visitors or rentals in check. Yes, there are rules in place, and so Airbnb, Verbo, the city of Waxahachie, there are rules. There are rules for the place out at the lake, and that guy was just saying, "Well, so what? What are you going to do?" You know,
We had cameras all over the place, and so
yeah,
we know we were being watched, and so we know the owner knew that we were long on people. But again, because we weren't an issue,
you were respectful
I
and all
mean,
that.
I could have imagined getting the call.
Yeah, I'm with you on. I stick to hotels. Never rented a Verbo or Airbnb, and don't know that I ever would. The issue is, again, buying a home is probably the biggest investment. 99% of, well, maybe not, maybe 99% of average America, flyover country, the home is the biggest investment somebody will make, and to know, to learn after the fact, because most of these short-term rentals you don't know about until you look into them. There's no sign out there that says this is a short-term rental. It's just a regular home
Right.
in our neighborhood. Again, the guy across the street in my house could be a short-term rental, and I wouldn't have known it when I bought my house. So it's just, that's what makes me nervous, and I don't know that people pay attention to these rules. You're an example of those who did or do, but then you got the lake out there where people just, it was literally a party. I mean, drugs, all explicit stuff. I mean, it was a disaster. And so the city has done a good job. I think it was a little bit arduous at the beginning, but the city has done a good job of creating an ordinance that says they can't be in certain places in the city. HOAs have banned them for all practical purposes. So there's not just, you can't just have a short-term rental anywhere in the city of Waxahachie. There can only be certain places. Let me just make this very quick, but there was a bill in the state legislature in Texas that was shot down, that was going to make it so that no oversight was required of short-term rentals, which is insane. But the vast majority of Texas voters, 80%, are not in favor of that, or having short-term rentals that are free to, that don't have the best, most stringent set of rules. So 80% say no, unless there are really quality rules to manage this stuff.
All right. And then who's going to do the managing?
Yeah, so the managing has to be done either by a property management company, or by the home in Waxahachie. The homeowner has to be local, which makes a difference too. So therein lies a manager. So short-term rentals, just keep your eye on this, and we're done with it. All right. So Jeffrey.
One more comment from Sharon there.
A lot of owners do not live in this area. That makes it hard to enforce rules. Yes, that's why, as I just said, the rules in Waxahachie are that the owner has to live here. So
scroll up there, Scott.
Oh, there's more. We got a DeClemens. Hey, DeClemens, good to see you again. I think it's a she. I'm almost sure it was. She was a frequent watcher of Sunspot Live. I think it needs to be controlled by how many people, or how many homes the city will allow. In our situation, we had one in our area, and they were leasing to a company selling solar panels. Every couple of weeks, a new group would come in, and they came out from all over Florida, California, etc. They were denied the company could use it for STR for any longer. Yeah, that's the other thing that these companies do, is they bring in their sales forces that fly all over the country to various cities and do saturate the city to make a sale for solar panels or Vivint or Ring. And so they don't want to put them in hotels. They put this team of 5 or 6 into a short-term rental. And so that's what DeClemens is talking about. I totally agree. So short-term rentals, we're going to keep our eye on it for you, and we'll talk more about it later. All right. So Jeffrey's got something pretty cool. He wants to share with you that we've never talked about before, and I learned some new things here too. So
Well,
take a listen to this.
and happy October to you, and that is why I'm wearing orange. And one of my fun things, I'm sure everybody likes to change the calendar, whatever calendar you use, but two of my prized possessions are my 100-year calendar and my 40-year calendar. You go, what are you talking about? Well, this 40-year calendar was given to me by my Uncle Mike in 1967, and it was good for 40 years, from 67 to '06. And I had somebody at my home office one day, and he saw it, and he said, "What's that?" And I started to show him how it worked, but I said, "But it expired." He goes, "What do you mean it expired?" He goes,
Yeah, what does that
"Well,
mean?
it was only set up to be for those 40-year periods, because it wasn't the big 100-year Mondo calendar." And so he went and got me this on the internet, and this one's good from 1944 to 2043. So I got it back in '07, and I hope to outlive it. But here's the deal: we operate under the Gregorian calendar, which was created by Prince Gregory,
Yeah.
to replace the Julian calendar, and that was in 1500s, to replace the Julian calendar from 46 BC. And they're basically set up involving the circles of the sun, of the Earth around the planet, which in a way is also paralleled by the moon cycles. And so you take it and you spin this dial around, and then you got years at the top and you got months at the bottom. And so you put the month under the year. And so when I just changed this morning, you got your Tuesday, and it lines up under the first, instead of a calendar that shows the Monday or the Sunday on the side. But the interesting thing about it, to me, the fascinating thing, is the parallels of the month, because every month, every year, forever, January shares a calendar with October. You've got these different months that share the calendars. And then furthermore, you've got a series of years that share the calendars. Now, again, this thing is only good for 100 years. But in this 100 period from 1944 to 2043, this calendar that we're in right now, 2024, shares a calendar with 2002, 1946, and 1968. And as I was writing it down, I was trying to say, so there's cycles to things, and what do you find parallel about those years, 2002, 2024, 1946, and 1968?
Are they, I don't know, election years?
Two of them are 68 and 04. '02 wasn't. The parallel I came up with was tumult. Okay, in 1946, we are just finishing up World War II, and the world is in quite a bit of tumult. In 1968, oh my gosh, race riots, Vietnam, tumultuous times. 2002, now you are coming just months after 9/11.
Yeah.
Tumult. And here we are now.
Yeah.
So
here we are now.
Yeah, that's all I got for you. Well, that's all I got. But
what's interesting, there are a lot of things interesting about that, but all of us have looked at calendars since we can remember, and
we just think about that year.
Yeah, that's right. We don't. In corporate America, all those years I was doing budgeting every year for what was 5 or 6 months of the year. I never knew that July would mirror September. And so every month we would go and we count the number of Sundays in the month and number of Mondays and all that stuff. And there it was. Learn something new every day. But I never knew that these months mirrored each other. Like Jeff just explained, is pretty cool. So,
and we keep this up at the top right there next to the hats. So it's up there all the time. And this little one, even though it's expired, is special to me, and it's at my desk at the home. And so every turning of the calendar, we will review the common
Yeah.
months that it shares.
Yeah. One of these days, I guess we need to talk about a sundial. You know, who was the king? King Gregory, and it was called the Gregorian era.
Yeah, I guess he's the same guy from the famous Gregorian chant, of which
Yeah.
our man Doug is quite familiar from
Yeah,
his singing
man.
days. Yes.
Interesting. So there, now you know something you didn't know before you came to Grit and Good News.
There you go.
All right, let's talk about the other day, and I've had this discussion with many people before, whether or not newspapers or the media at large, but let's just say newspapers specifically, ought to be offering opinions about anything, whether it be local, state, national issues, whether it be a columnist or columnists, whether it be letters to the editors from readers. So I'm interested in what people think about op-ed pages in a newspaper. Now, I've been in newspapers since 1983, and I can tell you that newspapers back to their origin have had, most of them have had op-ed pages in which or on which they endorse, offer opinions, print new letters to the editor, uh, new columnists, guest columnists. So, what do you think, Jeff? Does for your life, do you believe that you have been helped by op-ed pages in the newspaper, and do you believe that they ought to remain?
I think it's not like they've had profound effect on my life, but I think I have read things in the opinion, in the editorials, that have caused me to think, and particularly your column, which is uh, you know, clearly in the opinion page. I think that the key is in today's world where we have so many problems with biased news, um, we we have to make sure that if you're going to have an opinion in a newspaper, it's clearly stated to be an opinion.
Yes.
And in the Dallas Morning News, which I get every morning, and I look at it, you do have opinion clearly written in smallish letters on the top.
I wonder why they do that.
And on the editorial page, smallish letters over over the two editorials there. And then it clearly states letters. And then in the Waxahachie Sun, I would say those are pretty significant size letters.
Mhm.
Although maybe you could put a little like a lone star on each side to set it off a little
Yeah.
bit, but it's pretty clear that that's an opinion page.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the idea that any newspaper would attempt to not clearly delineate between its opinion page and its news pages is a rough thing for me to think of why they would do that. We want to make sure that if we could have glaring, bulbs around the page, that people would know for sure that these are opinions, because as you state, the only value an opinion has is whatever credibility the person reading it or hearing it applies to it. And so I would say for us, it may be that I only want to that the
Hey, Jeff, thanks
some
for stopping in here. Go
yeah,
ahead.
so Jeff, op-eds offer perspective. What is wrong with that? You write one too. Yeah, that's true, Jeff. Thank you for being here. So the idea is to say, for me anyways, I want to just provoke, compel, whatever else you want to call it, critical thinking. And it may be, I mean, I always write columns that I deeply believe and are authentic. I don't do one for clickbait purposes or just to put something out there weird for people to start thinking. But I believe columns can one promote that idea of critical thinking and can create a dialogue that's helpful. And so, like next Wednesday, uh, I will have a column endorsing for president, and it will be clear as to why I'm endorsing who I'm endorsing, and I'll give those reasons. We live in a place where 85% of the people looking at it are going to agree with me, 15% won't. But I still want the 15% to say, okay, well, he's making an argument, a well thought out argument for his endorsement or his opinion. That's the issue with opinions. Sometimes opinions, they're never wrong because they're somebody's opinion. But if an opinion is based on, if I say to you that I like Tim Walz because I saw in the media, the mainstream media, that he is a Boy Scout leader, when in fact he's never touched the Boy Scouts. But if my opinion is based on reading that and I didn't investigate it, then my opinion is going to be based on incorrect information.
Or your opinion that was based on the fact that he carried a gun in combat, which he didn't.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a great point too. A lot of people that don't bother to fact check things are now walking around believing that Tim Walz is some, war veteran that's, tough and all that sort of thing. So their opinion isn't wrong, but what they're basing it on is a lie. So for me, opinion, even letters to the editor, but in any guest column, it's got to be what you're opining about, you must have fact checked so that you're offering opinion on the truth as opposed to a lie.
And Sharon's making it clear that people have the right to reply and state their own opinion.
That's right. So in our paper, every opinion that I've ever written, and for years I've done it, mostly people respond directly because we put at the end of my column how to reach me directly.
Right.
I find that interesting that most people are going to send their response to me privately and individually. In some cases, that's because those responses are nasty, are hateful, or whatever, and people don't want that to be seen by others. Some do it just because they just want to communicate with me. But we want everybody. I mean, if I could get everybody to respond to my column so that we could all have a healthy discussion, then mission achieved. That's the way I see it.
Right.
So we're always going to have an op-ed page. I think USA Today announced within the past 6 months that they are stopping their op-ed page, which I think is a chicken way out. I won't tell you what I really think of it, but it goes along those lines. I think it's cowardly and doesn't do what I'm talking about, compel critical thinking and healthy dialogue.
Did they give a reason for it?
They just don't. They believe that the time for newspapers to offer opinions has run out for whatever reason. I don't think there is a valid reason. My particular thought is that they want to save space, money, so they don't
and labor,
and they don't want people hating them, and therefore canceling the subscription. I can't care about that. Matter of fact, there have been a number of people in my own companies that have said to me, Scott, please don't publish that because we're going to lose this advertiser. We're going to lose this number of subscribers. Rarely does that ever happen, but that's the thought going into it. So when I write a column, it goes through several hands before it appears on your doorstep.
Sure.
But and along that route, people often say, please don't write about this. Don't write about that. Don't attack the mayor. Don't attack this or don't whatever. Don't endorse him or her because we're going to feel it.
Right. Back toward your endorsement of candidates, that is a common practice. And that's not just the only thing that you do in opinions. And I have often found that when it comes to the more obscure state races, when I look at the Dallas Morning News and I look at who they're endorsing, at least I learned something about those lower level candidates that I don't necessarily know.
True. And to that point, there are a number of readers that will call me going into every election cycle, always have, and say, okay, I don't know who John Doe is. Do you? And can you just tell me about him? And I'm happy to do that because if I'm going to endorse, I got to know who it is I'm endorsing, obviously. And so what I found is that for people like that who don't have the time or don't want to take the time, they trust me or they trust the Sun, they're able to just read my column or a column and say, okay, if that's what the Sun believes, then I'm going with it because they've proven to be right. They are like-minded at the Sun, and I can count on that.
Or conversely, they see what Scott's picking and they go, okay, I'm going the other way.
I mean, that happens too. It was in 2016 that the Waxahachie Daily Light, Waxahachie Sun wasn't even in existence then, but in 2016 at the Daily Light, when we were running the Daily Light, we endorsed Trump president. We were one of 5 newspapers in America to do it. And even from our own conservative community in Waxahachie, from them to Rachel Maddow, I got hammered.
Who?
Rachel Maddow, who made fun of, you know who she is on MSNBC?
I'm
She's
sorry.
a trip. You did check her out. But all the way to MSNBC, CNN, PBS wanted to do a debate with me on it. But even our own conservative community lit me up for endorsing Donald Trump as president in 2016. And frankly, I stand by that strongly, stronger than I did then. And we didn't take a victory lap. I didn't throw it in anybody's face.
Right.
So we're going to continue to do opinions. I would encourage anybody watching, and you can tell your friends, write a letter to the editor. If you feel something about something or someone, then write us. We'll publish it. If it's an attack, if it's racist or vulgar, we won't. But if bar those things, we'll publish it. Very healthy.
If you got a decent poem, they might publish that too.
Yeah, and for sure. And you could have a poem about a fact. A poem you could offer an opinion in a poem.
Right.
We're going to be having a newsletter called The Grit coming out within the next 30 days. We're excited about that. It will also be full of facts and opinions. And so we believe, again, in creating healthy dialogue for our community. All right. Anything else on that?
We don't want to beat a dead horse, dude.
Yeah. So Grit and Good News will be sponsored by companies once we get them all signed. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now, and we're getting closer. So we look forward to being able to share our sponsors with you. And these will be sponsors that we want as part of our show and that they want to sponsor the show, obviously. So we look forward to sharing those with you. And we hope, and we'll ask you each time to patronize them and become buyers of their services and merchandise. So we're looking forward to that. All right.
And prove that advertising does work.
It does work. Sometimes people say to me, well, newspapers don't work anymore. People don't read newspapers. And every time, and I've been saying this for probably 30 years, I'll say to them, and I'll say to anybody watching that believes the same, you give me your most humiliating story in your life. You can make it 1,000 words. You can make it 100 words. Give it to me. You write it. Give it to me. I'll put it in the Waxahachie Sun. I'll put it anywhere you want me to put it. And I will guarantee you by Thursday, because we come out on Wednesday, by Thursday at the latest Friday every week, if I did that for a different person, that humiliating event will be known by thousands upon thousands of people in this community. Do you know that I've never had anybody take me up on that offer? So when people say, oh, people don't read the paper. Okay, give me your story. Give me the most humiliating picture you got. Photo of yourself. I'll put it in the Sun, and let's see how long it takes before people you run into in various places knows about that photo.
The other one I like in that vein is you're driving down the highway and you get certain sections of the highway with a lot of billboards and other ones where they're banned, but you're driving along and then you see the billboard that says, see, advertising does work.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you read that, right?
There used to be, and it still applies, but there used to be a deal or a comment or belief that people had in the media and newspapers, particularly where businesses would say, I don't advertise. We would often kick around the idea that the only time those kinds of businesses advertise is when they're going out of business. They'll have going out of business sales or liquidation sales or that sort of thing. Because every business, if you're smart, you got to be a marketer, you got to be an advertiser, you got to know what you're doing to get the word out. So those that don't eventually end up advertising they're going out of business sale.
Just like the poor people in Oakland who are bemoaning the loss of the A's and they're going to Vegas, right?
Right. Well, they're going to Sacramento for 3 years, then to Vegas.
Okay, and then they're going to say, and people will say, well, you didn't support them. They'll go, we sold out every game of the last homestand. Well, yeah, when everybody knew they were leaving.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of funny when you hear people say that because they might have 5,000 people at a game in a 50 or 60,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
And then when they leave, you're right. The team says, well, where were you all those years if you really cared this much? So anyway,
how's Sacramento going to feel after being 3 years the
well, I
bridesmaid?
think that's the deal. It's like Buffalo in the COVID pandemic. Canada was shut down. I
Mhm.
mean, literally. So the Toronto Blue Jays couldn't play baseball there. So
Mhm.
they used Buffalo's AAA stadium because it's an hour and a half south of Toronto to play their home games. So Sacramento, which has I don't know what level, but has a team, the A's are going to play there.
Yeah. Okay.
While the multi-billion-dollar stadium in Vegas is going to be built. So for them. So 3 years from this season, they will play in Vegas.
Just the word Vegas is a lead into to our next segment.
Oh yeah, Vegas, the home of Pete Rose. Pete was from Cincinnati, but spent the balance of his life after baseball in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
All of you know by now, and it's weird how these things happen in threes. I don't know if we've talked about it before, but plane crashes and notable people die, it seems like, in threes. And so we had Dikembe Mutombo, who wagged his finger in the NBA, a wonderful human being from
He
all
wagged his
indications
finger when
he blocked a shot.
when he
And
that is
so
so in your face.
yeah, he
In your
died
face.
at a young age of brain cancer yesterday. And then Pete Rose died yesterday. Suddenly, he was at a card show, autograph show over the weekend
Yeah.
in Vegas, and he passed away yesterday. As we were talking before the show went live, probably because of a heart attack. And I know there's a third some lady just died, a famous actress, just passed away as well. But Pete Rose, we want to talk about Pete Rose for a minute or two. Pete Rose broke the record, the one record that I'm willing to say and bet on, ironically, pardon the pun, will never be broken. Never.
Ty Cobb's
record of 4,191 hits was broken in 1980 something by Pete Rose.
Chris Christopherson was the third one she was
that's
just
the
talking.
third one. Yeah. That's right. Yep. That's right.
What a voice.
Yeah.
And then what an actor he became.
So, he's great.
Thanks, Sharon.
But Pete Rose, at 83 years of age, passed away. Pete Rose, the best hitter in all of baseball. The record now is 4,256 hits in his career. We're lucky to see any player get to 3,000 anymore. And when they do, it's a big deal. So Pete Rose having 4,256 hits, that will never be broken unless they extend the season year round. But Pete Rose died. And so along with the record, the most other notable thing about Pete Rose is he's banned from baseball starting in 1989.
Well, he's banned from the Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah.
Is he banned from all of baseball? I guess he can't.
I don't know. I cannot remember. That's a good question for people. Maybe somebody could look it up. But I don't think he managed after that, or I know he didn't play.
Oh,
I don't think after he was
no
the decision in '89.
Certainly neither of those, right?
So it's a good question. Was he banned just from the Hall of Fame, or was he from baseball as well? We know it's from the Hall of Fame. So in 1989, August 23rd, 1989, Bartlett Giamatti, who was the commissioner of baseball then, who had just become commissioner 5 months before that, permanently banned Pete Rose from the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose signed the agreement. Ironically, 1 week later, Bartlett Giamatti, the commissioner, died of a heart attack. And no commissioner since has been willing to say, we're going to revisit that and allow Pete Rose to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, because by just performance on the field, there is no doubt. If you said just performance on the field, who should be in the Hall of Fame? Pete Rose would be in the top 5, definitely. But he's not in the Hall of Fame, and now unless he's put in posthumously by another commissioner somewhere down the road, he'll never be in the Hall of Fame. Thoughts on that?
Well, you don't get the name Charlie Hustle for nothing, right? And he was beloved by his teammates. I was doing just a little research. I kind of forgot that after his Cincinnati career, he went to Philadelphia for a few years, and got some rings there.
Who else did he play for?
Besides Cincinnati and Philly? You got me there, brother.
They don't exist anymore. Think Canada.
I was going to say Toronto.
Nope.
Wait a minute. Montreal Expos.
That's right.
How long did you play for them?
Not very long. So the question is, should Pete Rose, in your opinion, be placed in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Well, it's ironic that the steroids era caused a lot of people not to be. He did in a book in 2004 finally admit to the gambling.
Yes.
He didn't like to hear him lie before and then admit it now. But I tell you, I'm not sure of the answer, but I think it brings up a bigger issue, which may lead you to the answer. And that is this. What he's been banned for. Okay, and let's look at the one precedent also. And that is the great Paul Hornung, former Heisman Trophy winner of Notre Dame, the Golden Boy. And in 1963, he was found to have gambled on football. It was banned for 1 year.
Yeah.
Served the suspension, came back and had his glory days with the Pack, and won for a Super Bowl.
Right.
Okay, but here's where I'm going. You know what is controlling and ruling sports at all levels now is gambling.
Yeah.
Okay, and I mean it's advertised on football games. It's advertised on all the games, the lines in all the papers. It's rampant. So I think it's a big pile of Hippocratic baloney. Now I'm working myself to my answer.
So
Is to say you banned him for something that happened in the 80s, and now your whole sport and all the sports in college sports, the whole sporting world is all about gambling.
Yeah.
I think that's hypocrisy at its worst. And now I've worked myself to my answer.
Yeah, your answer would be he should be in the Hall of Fame, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
So the what Pete Rose did was in 1985, 86, and 87, he bet on the Cincinnati Reds, a team for which he was the manager. He bet on them to win, always win. There was never a bet that he placed on the Cincinnati Reds to lose, to win. Now, wrong is wrong. So I'm not saying that because he bet on them to win, that whatever takes him away from the responsibility of following the rules. However, he's never in a position to tank a game. He was quite the opposite. Now he could have ruined some arms along the way, could have made some bad decisions along the way, but he always bet to win. And so he was betting on his own team. That's sin number one. Sin number two was that he lied about it for a number of years. Right. He lied about it. He agreed to be banned in 1989, but for years, he said, I never bet on baseball. I bet on other stuff, but I didn't bet on baseball, and certainly didn't bet on the Cincinnati Reds. That's second sin number two. Third perceived sin was that Pete Rose was cocky. He was bombastic. He was in your face. He would argue with anybody. He would tell you what he thought. If he didn't like what a commissioner was doing, he'd tell a commissioner or an umpire or a coach or whatever. Or
be in an all-star game and take out a catcher named Ray Fosse.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Ruin the guy's career. So he had those three marks against him, and I don't think there's any commissioner. Well, there's obviously no commissioner that's come along yet that says I've got the what to reinstate this guy and put him in the Hall of Fame. I do believe that given today's generation, there's going to come a commissioner out of the Gen Zs, out of Sammy's bracket at some point, 25, 30, 40 years from now, that's going to say Pete Rose deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and we're going to put him in there posthumously, and that's how it's going to happen. But Pete Rose died as not a Hall of Famer in a sport that his record will never be broken. I think it's the only one. Oh, Cal Ripken's will never be broken either, in my opinion. But so Shohei Ohtani, I mean, he's got a record that 50 home runs, 50 stolen
50-50,
bases.
yeah.
There's somebody going to come along that'll be another Shohei Ohtani. But the other two, Ripken and Pete Rose, are based on a day and
Longevity, yeah.
age when longevity mattered.
Yeah.
Today, whether it's in
Yeah.
business or in sports, it doesn't much matter, right? So there you go.
Yeah.
I'm so if I'm commissioner of baseball, I'm putting Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
And mark my word, you heard it here today. In the world of hypocrisy that we live, where sports are dominated by gambling, I am waiting patiently for the major point shaving scandal,
Yeah.
because that's the way that you can throw a game.
We've had a few of them.
Yeah, but
over the years.
I'm surprised as big as it's gotten now
Yeah.
that we're not getting more
Yeah,
of that.
some kid that's a so-so player on some team
Yeah.
is going to say, "I'll, for $1 million, $5 million, whatever y'all want to pay me, I'll do something.
Yeah.
I'll go in and commit 5 fouls if it matters to get
Yeah.
some player out of the game." All right, so we believe together. We didn't know what the other would say, but we believe that Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, and we'll see what happens in the future. But God rest Pete Rose's soul, and
God rest his
Dikembe
soul.
Mutombo, and Chris Christopherson. So those are the three notable folks that have passed away. All
Amen.
right, it's now time for rhyme time, and we won't be able to hear it. I don't think they will. Oh,
It's messed up.
okay. So normally we have a little segue into rhyme time.
Our rhyming music.
Yeah, our rhyming music
sound is not
rhyming.
with us.
So Jeff does every show so far. Not that we will always do these, but we have rhyme time, and then we're going to do our day in history, and we will be calling it a day. So let's hear it, brother.
And what page did I say that was on? Page 24. I'm going to give you a little something because I'm wearing orange, and because it's the beginning of fall, and because of my love for pumpkins. I love them so much that my first book
Has a
has got
pumpkin
pumpkins on it.
Well, you're dressed like a creamsicle today.
I like a creamsicle today, and this book, 2020 Hindsights, was written in 2020. Times could have had the parallel years,
Yeah.
but as you can see, we got a little peace, love, and joy. And ever since I did those in 2020, I continue to do them. And I love pumpkins, and I've always loved pumpkins. And I got a daughter born on Halloween. Early shout out to Marianne. Your birthday's coming up at the end of the month, and I'll always have at least 10 pumpkins out on my porch. As a matter of fact, today is Go Get Pumpkin Day, and I usually like to carve 6, 8, 10 of them.
Nice.
Like last year, I only had about 4 carved. I was like a little bit ashamed to show pictures to people.
Nice.
But this poem's called Big Kid.
All right, let's hear it.
Pumpkins and Easter eggs, two of my favorite things. Again, and again, my twice yearly flings. As a youngster, I did learn what makes a jack-o'-lantern. Put a knife in a pumpkin and carve a big grin. When eggs get their dye, recall how Christ did die, not of Judas's resurrection, rather, not of Judas's deception, rather think of the resurrection. My wife calls me a big kid. Yes, my life I've redid. She's not being critical. No, simply analytical. It's a compliment, I do say. Frankly, it makes my day. Give me an Easter egg or a pumpkin. Yes, you may call me a bumpkin.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do look like a creamsicle and a pumpkin today.
Well, why do you say creamsicle?
Because a creamsicle is that light. It's almost like our logo on our show.
Oh, yeah, the light.
Yeah, the lighter color.
Okay,
Yeah.
I buy it.
All right, now it's time for this day in history. Let me remind everyone that yours truly set the record last week because I did not. I lost one, but I had like 3 bonuses. I was rocking. So we've got 10 minutes.
And Jonna, she does like fallen pumpkins too.
I was going to say, if Jonna's going to do this day in history, I'll definitely win.
Okay.
Anyway.
And you got the rules up there, right?
All right, Sammy.
It's clear?
All right, let's go for it.
Here we go. My record, by the way, was 7, 3, and 1. We have 9 entries. I did score 2 bonuses, and I hope you get them both too.
Oh, man.
Here we go. Today in history. Yosemite National Park was designated by the U.S. Congress. Yosemite National Park was designated by the U.S. Congress.
Sammy?
1942. Yeah, they were naming national parks in the middle of World War II. Go ahead.
1910.
1890.
Oh, I was close.
I was going with that one we had last week about Teddy Roosevelt and
Yeah.
but no, denied. Okay.
Yeah. 0 for 1. That hurts. All right, let's go.
The first modern baseball World Series began with the Pittsburgh Pirates defeating the blank in Game 1. Pittsburgh would win the series 5-3. And it was like, I guess they must have had best of 9 back then, because how do you win an 8-game series? But anyway,
Yeah, that's weird.
first modern World Series, Pittsburgh Pirates defeated who?
As I said, it'd be original.
I did say Pirates.
No, the same.
It's Pirates. I said Pilots. It's Pirates.
New York Yankees.
No, it was Boston.
But
but
the year.
Yeah.
1918.
1918. That was my guess too, because of all the World Series, because of the gambling controversy in 1920. I went with that. Anyway, 1918, 1936.
I'll stick to 1910.
1903.
Booyah. I got it.
1903. You're 7 years. Okay. Ford introduced his Model T automobile to the market. The last one was 03. 1947. I'll do 14. 14? 14?
1918.
1908, and don't ask me how I knew it, but I did get the bonus for that this morning. Thank you very much. All right.
And it was when? 08?
08.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it. I took a pass on this one. I had no idea. Good luck to you guys. The offices in the Los Angeles Times were destroyed by a bomb explosion and fire. 21 employees were killed. Yeah, 1962.
1951.
1910. What?
I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
All right.
Ponce de Leon went and discovered all that California stuff.
Ponce de Leon.
Ponce de Leon.
I'm giving two answers in a row, 1910, and I should have stuck with it. All
okay.
Right. Next.
The motto, "In God We Trust," began appearing on U.S. paper currency.
Sharon's got all hers wrong, by the way.
Sorry, we haven't been acknowledging you. We'll mostly just call you out. Scott's rep. Don't forget, she writes the checks. Go ahead.
No, she doesn't. I do. I'll write hers.
You sign them. She prepares them.
Yeah. All right. What? Say the question again.
The motto, "In God We Trust," began appearing on U.S. paper currency. Paper currency. Not to be confused with coinage.
1938.
1957. It must have replaced what was previously on it, which. Here we go. It's a tough day, isn't it?
I'm taking a beat.
All right. Come on. You can bring it home from here.
All right.
Bring them all home from here, and you can pick up a bonus. I know you're going to get one of them.
Sharon got that one wrong, too.
The free speech movement began at the University of California, Berkeley, big-time liberal area, as students surrounded a police car containing an arrested campus activator for more than 30 years.
It's not.
We're gonna say like 73. Yeah,
I mean, you can.
73.
I would say 1969.
That was my guess. 64 does get you your 7 years.
Oh man, we were close.
There's that sound we like. Here we go. Walt Disney World opened near Orlando, Florida, not to be confused with Disneyland in Anaheim. Walt Disney World opened near Orlando.
1975. 77.
71. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. Okay.
Sharon, what's wrong with you? Oh, did she get that one right?
You did.
Yeah, she got one right.
I said the same thing, Sharon.
All right. How many more? Two?
Two more.
All right.
Muhammad Ali, dear to both of our hearts.
Yes.
And we're going to do some
Yes.
subject matter on him.
Yes,
I've got
we
some
love
good
Muhammad Ali.
subject matter I want to talk about.
Yep.
Defeated Smoking Joe Frazier in blank. This is the name of a fight. He had some famous fight names. The last of the three bouts.
Thrilla in Manila.
Thrilla in Manila.
Booyah.
The Thrilla in Manila.
78.
78.
79.
79.
What was the last answer? The
last answer was 71.
80.
75. You're all within it. And the Thrilla in Manila.
4 and 4 with one bonus.
You know what? I'm not in the business of giving free bonuses out because I know you'll know this. But guys, what was one of his other famous fight names? I'll give you a clue. No, that was Mike Tyson. Another famous nickname for a bout that he had, and it was held in Zaire, South Africa.
I can't think of it. What is it?
Exist and no one falls off.
Zaire. Yeah.
I'm sorry, no.
It was the Rumble in the Jungle.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was awesome.
Okay. And we close with in the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history, a gunman opened fire from a room at the Mandalay Bay Casino Hotel in Las Vegas on a crowd of 22,000 music fans at a concert below, causing 60 deaths and more than 850 injuries.
Yes.
Yes. Are you trying to... It was in your life.
Yeah.
It was in your life. And it's a big jump up from 1975. I'm going to tell you that. 12?
I'm going to say 3.
3?
2018.
17.
Oh,
and y'all should, you both should be aware of that. Jason Aldean was in concert on outside.
Oh, you're talking about the Vegas. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Mandalay Bay. I said Vegas.
He was.
You got to listen. You got to listen.
He was playing.
Maybe I was mumbling. My wife says I mumble. I don't know.
And a guy was hundreds of yards away in a hotel room in the Mandalay Bay, and he had a
balcony.
And
he injured 850.
Let me tell you, here's a little story about that, and we got to finish. But my high school girlfriend, who recently passed away, God bless her, we broke up. She started dating Tommy Day. Tommy Day was at that concert and was killed.
He was also a performer?
No, he was a high school buddy of mine.
Okay.
We broke up.
I thought we were supposed to know who Tommy Day was.
No. Tommy Day broke up. I broke up with her. We broke up. He started dating her. I think they eventually got married and had a child, but he was at that concert with his daughters and was killed.
And now she's a widow.
Killed. She had already remarried. They divorced. Jonna.
I got 4 right.
Sharon. Jonna.
I got them all right.
Jonna. The only thing you did right was watch this show. Wow. Sharon, I don't think so.
Well, and your pumpkin emojis.
All right. So there you go. That's our show. I was 4 for 4 and a bonus. What's a bonus for? Just one?
Yeah.
So 5 and 4. my winning record continues.
Yes.
So there you have it for today. Grit and Good News. We are excited that you're here. Thursday's show will be subsequent to the Story in the Sun tomorrow. So we look forward to watching our audience grow and getting interactive, more participation, call-ins. We're going to be talking about purposefully talking about provocative issues, compelling issues, and some of them will be local. Maybe more of them will be local as we move forward. We've tried to keep our powder dry with some content here, but we do want to get your opinions and thoughts about some things going on locally. So for Jeffrey Lynch, thank you for being here, and sign off time.
And we do hope you have fun, because we did. And remember, don't write a check that you can't cash.